Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today, as of this recording, and hopefully as of the posting of this video, it is indeed November 10th. And on this day in 1982, George Romero's Creepshow was released in theaters. Now, as a lot of you know, Creepshow is actually one of my favorite films and has a lot of really special and personal meaning for me because when I was a kid, it was one of the films that really got me super into horror. Like, it's the kind of thing where, if I remember correctly, in fact, I want to say it might have been the first horror film I became sort of obsessed over. And everything else kind of grew from there because I sort of really, I don't know why it was, I just became so fascinated by this film, even though it was actually very hard for me to watch. I could pretty much make it through Father's Day segment okay. The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, I could pretty much watch because it's very comical. There's Something to Tide You Over, I could pretty much watch, although towards the end of it, it definitely gets a lot scary. The Crate, I really had problems getting through. Like, that took me a while as a kid before I was able to actually watch that like all the way through. That one really freaked me out. And then They're Creeping Up on You, I could usually watch because, again, it was pretty comical. And I hadn't quite developed my fear of bugs as I have as I've gotten older. But there was something about Creepshow that really kind of just stuck with me. Actually, what happened was, when I was a kid, I actually found this, not this specific copy, but in general, the comic book version of Creepshow that was done for the film, which was written by Stephen King. Art by Bernie Wrightson, cover art by Jack Kamen. And I think this is actually where it kind of started, where I was like, and as I'd kind of go through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, are these images actually going to be in a movie? So I had to actually seek out the film, and then, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's just like in that comic book that I have, or graphic novel, or whatever. I don't know, did they even call them graphic novels at the time? I don't know, but I definitely, wanted, I saw this, and then obviously I had to seek out the movie, and I still have to this day, which I have it right here, the VHS that I had as a kid. And this is actually my copy, and it's not like some of my other films, favorite films, where I've sort of sought out like a VHS copy, for my collection. This is actually my copy, and yes, surprisingly, it is actually the original clamshell that I have, which I'll just kind of show it off real quick. Obviously, there's the cover with the original poster artwork, and the side right there with the title. And I love the old Warner Brother clamshells. It says horror there, which I absolutely love. And of course, there's the back with two great pictures and a bunch of the text. And here is the tape inside. Obviously very old and faded by this point, but it is, I think it still works. I hope it does. But yeah, this is actually my tape, which I used to watch over and over and over again, as much as I could anyway, until I was able to actually get through The Crate okay. But my fascination with that film is what really, I'm almost positive, sort of kicked off my love of horror. I mean, there were other films like around that same time that I sort of discovered that had the same impact. Obviously, John Carpenter's The Fog was another one, and there were a couple other films as well. But again, specifically Creepshow, and that was where I took notice of the directors, George Romero, Tom Savini, who did the makeup effects, and a couple other names kind of associated with the film as well. And it sort of really was one of the films that also began my interest in movies and filmmaking and that kind of thing, because again, I took notice of like, oh, the director, it was around that time where I started kind of taking notice of who the director was in a lot of these films that I loved. And George Romero was definitely a very early one. And of course, over the years, obviously, anything Creepshow related sort of fed into my obsession. I had to seek it out. So eventually, I would seek out the different posters, for example, as I've showcased before, but I'll just kind of go through them real quick. Obviously, I have the teaser poster, and that's the one I've been getting signatures on for many years now. Unfortunately, obviously, some of the cast members, I sadly cannot get signatures on it anymore, unfortunately, but I do have some decent ones on here. Obviously, the main one being George Romero, which I am happy I did get him when I could. And then obviously I have the original one-sheet poster. Now, this is a 30 by 40, so for those of you who don't know, especially at the time, it happened a lot during like 60s, 70s, and 80s, kind of, actually maybe even in the 50s as well, but for sure 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of films would actually get sort of a limited run in a 30 by 40, which was printed on a slightly thicker stock. It's almost like a thin cardboard. And they didn't make that many. Now, they're kind of mixed as far as collectors go because the cardboard is so easily, you know, bent and ruined and everything. So, you know, sometimes you can find them kind of cheap. And I luckily found one of the original one sheet, which I was happy to have, as well as this Italian poster, which you can see here is just, you know, and this is massive. This thing, again, is one of those, like, what's the size? Like 47 by 63 inches and stuff, so it's like quite large. And another large one also is this French poster, which I absolutely love because that artwork is so unique, and I believe I've only seen it on the French poster. Absolutely love it, but again, it's huge. It's like, you know, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with it. And then obviously I have the lobby card set, which I was happy to get many years ago. I also have the press kit, which I'm glad I got it when I did. I mean, I was still pretty young when I got it, and, you know, if I tried to get it now, I think it would cost me a small fortune, so definitely happy to have that. And another thing which I got not too long ago, when did I get that? Like a year ago? 2 years ago? Maybe it was 2 years ago. Some of you remember, there is a video up on it where I did find an original stand, what do you even call it? Like just like a promo stand for Creepshow, which was sent to movie theaters, and it's not too big. It's just sort of the stand-up thing, which was meant to be displayed on like a counter, you know, either the like the concession counter or the ticket counter or something like that. So very happy to get one eventually. It's something I was going after for a long time. And another thing I got, which I was really happy to get, was the bust that of Fluffy that Trick or Treat Studios has. I believe they even still sell it. I don't think it's sold out yet, that Tom Savini actually sculpted for them, you know, based on his original design. And I really, really wanted it. And then they had this like freak, like 50% off sale on it one day for like 2 hours, and I just happened to get it and stuff. And it's just like, I can't wait to do something proper with it because it is quite large. You know, some of you remember from the video, it is actually quite a large bust. And then we've had various video releases. Obviously, my favorite up to date is definitely the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which has a great transfer on it, which was supervised by Michael Gornick, the director of photography. And I keep hoping for a 4K release. You know, I was like, I got swept up in some of the rumors of a 4K release for this year, which obviously didn't happen. I was kind of hoping it would, but at the same time, I think the rumor pretty much was probably started by people like me, like fans like me, who like wanted it to happen, but it wasn't like based in like any news or anything. Hopefully eventually we still do get a 4K release. And also a small taste of my Creepshow shelf, which is just odds and ends. I got a couple of the Monstars figures, which are officially licensed. Also got a couple sort of, you know, bootleg figures and whatnot, as well as the more recent Fright Rags cards, which are amazing. And then even different like buttons and things from different, you know, I think some of these might be Fright Rags. I think some of them are like waxwork and whatnot, some art pieces, some autographs. Obviously that great one there from George Romero with he and Fluffy, and different soundtracks. I have different, because like I have the LP, I know, like different CD releases, including the last one from La La Land Records, which I believe is still available, which is a great one, because that one doesn't have all, but it has all of John Harrison's music from the film, and it has most of the library tracks that are also featured in the film. Doesn't have all of them, but it has most of them. That is a great soundtrack release, and again, that's another soundtrack. I know I say this a lot, and you guys probably wondering like, Jesus, it's like you listen to some of this stuff an awful lot, and it's like I kind of do. Creepshow is another soundtrack I listen to a lot, and I always have my whole life. Like, I absolutely love the John Harrison score for that. And luckily, with it being the 40th anniversary, of course, you know, we have some stuff that hasn't come out yet. I know, like Mezco has some things coming out, but the big one definitely is NECA. You know, NECA actually got the license for Creepshow, so they're going to do a lot of these figures. The first one, obviously, is, you know, the Creep, the Spectre. What do they call him on here? They call him the Creep. Okay. Here, which I'm going to do a separate unboxing video of this, but we're going to get more, I believe next year, we're going to get actually more characters from Creepshow. Obviously, Fright Rags, you know, some of the other companies, you know, they do Creepshow shirts. In fact, I'm wearing one of my Fright Rags Creepshow shirts right now, which I do have several. I had to decide which one I wanted to go with today. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with the classic, like, one-sheet artwork. And I would easily say my favorite thing in my entire collection is definitely the original animation cell that I have from Creepshow. And that I got from the original animator himself, Rick Catazone, and I lucked out so much because this is like an actual piece of film history. This is the actual animation cell that is used in the opening of the film. As you can see, this is actually the moment right when it switches from live action to the animation. I mean, as much as I have a lot of stuff in my collection that I'm so thankful for and grateful to have and everything, and some stuff that's definitely unique, I don't think any of them come close to actually having like an actual piece of film history like that. So I am beyond grateful to have that in my collection. I assure you it is treasured, and I definitely do not take it for granted on any level. So I know it kind of sounds like I'm bragging about some of this stuff. I don't mean to. I love Creepshow so much. Again, because it has so much meaning for me. It's a film that I fell in love with at such an early age. It's the one that, again, sort of really got me into horror. I think this, it's not that I hadn't seen horror films before, but it's the one that I really kind of feel is the one that made me from like, oh yeah, I'll see that film, to like, oh my god, I love horror films, and this is my thing. This is definitely the world I want to be in. And how do you describe something that has that much meaning for you? It's so special to me, and I really, every time I watch it, I think I just love it just all the more. So naturally, for its 40th anniversary, in honor of its 40th anniversary, I needed to obviously take a day out and, celebrate it. There was no way I was going to miss this chance by any means. So if you have any Creepshow memories, definitely let me know, because boy, do I love hearing them. So happy anniversary, Creepshow. Thank you for all you've done for me and what you continue to do for me. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
Creepshow, the most fun you'll ever have being scared.